Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily. Coming up, we look back at a weekend full of blowouts and try to figure out which of them mean something, which of them mean nothing, and which of them mean everything, which I don't know if any of them really mean everything, but we'll see. And we're going to take a look at the Suns and Sixers' weird years so far. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, guys. Another weekend in the books in the NBA. Man, we had so many games this weekend. And, I know we just had the All-Star break, but it feels like they just crammed like 700 games into the last 3 days.
Yeah, all like nationally televised. We got our Sunday slate. The Sunday slate is back, by the way.
It's back. Yeah,
yes, it is.
Completely back. No football to get in the way, guys.
We're ready.
Yeah. Speaking of, guys, there were a bunch of blowouts over the weekend. I mean, the Lakers beat the Nuggets by 23. The Knicks got blown out twice. All right. And that's kind of a big deal. So we were trying to wrap our head around how to talk about this stuff. And we were thinking some of these might mean something. Some of them might mean nothing. And one or two of them might mean everything. So let's start with that Lakers-Nuggets game the other night. The Lakers won the game by 23. Luka's out there running the offense. Luka and LeBron. I mean, LeBron is legitimately playing like a top 5 player right now. And he has been for, the last 6 weeks. It's kind of absurd. We were saying, and I in particular have been saying that the Nuggets are back. I think the Nuggets have a really good shot at winning a title, even though, we doubted Christian Brown being able to step into the starting lineup and make an impact, but they've looked so good. I have to tip my hat to the Lakers. I mean, you blow out the Nuggets and that's a pretty big deal. So guys, is this Lakers win over the Nuggets something? Is it nothing or is it everything?
I will say it's something in a lot of ways. To bounce back from the way that they lost against the Hornets and then to come and completely dominate the game plan against the Nuggets, especially defensively. Like they forced Denver into 20 turnovers. They caused a bunch of bad plays from Nikola Jokić. They forced him into a passer, which is, technically not what you want to do with Jokić, but they just made it a situation where he was rushing. He was getting into places where he didn't want to be. And to do that against the best player in the NBA is no easy task. So I think it's something from the defensive side of the ball. And if they're generating turnovers the way that they did, if they're causing havoc defensively, it also fuels their offense in transition where Luka and LeBron, right? Yeah. And they're just running. And you see the way that they've already connected multiple times in fast breaks. So I think it's something. I think that's like the vision, the blueprint for how the Lakers can play and win. Are they going to be able to do that in a playoff series consistently? I don't know. We'll see. But so far, pretty cool.
Yeah, the defense is going to be the big concern. I think, though, if you go back and look, Jackson Hayes has had a pretty good defensive season. I mean, it's not defensive player of the year level stuff, but he's not been too bad. And I think that has shown a little bit, especially in this game against the Nuggets. The other side of the coin, again, I thought the Nuggets were back. And you get blown out by the Lakers at home. I mean, especially this is a big game. This is Luka. Right. These guys didn't get up for this game. And so, Zena, what does this blowout mean if you're the Nuggets?
I think it's nothing. I mean, literally, if you look at the streak right now between the Lakers and the Nuggets, the Lakers had lost the last 5 before coming into this game. So Denver was feeling pretty good. Now, Denver was also on a 9-game winning streak. There is something to the fact that none of the teams that they beat in that 9-game winning streak were not a top 10 team.
Yeah.
So even Jokić said, maybe we tricked ourselves, but I think this was an off game. I definitely still believe that Denver's back. They didn't have Jokić in pure form, only 12 points from him, 7 shot attempts. Let's see what happens when he gets his regular shot attempts up, his regular field goal attempts up. I think this is nothing for the Nuggets.
Yeah. I mean, the Lakers did a good job of throwing a bunch of different bodies at Jokić. I've never seen anybody pull that off. For 7 games. So
it was
I don't think
Vando, Dorian Finney-Smith, those guys were hounding them. And even Luka was doing well defensively. He really answered too.
LeBron guarded him a little bit. I mean, again, it was a great game for the Lakers. Not a great weekend for the Knicks. They got stomped
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
so mad because we gave them so much
You guys
love.
praised them.
And then they open up the weekend embarrassing us like this.
Yeah. It's like the worst version of the Daily Curse. Yes.
Insane. 37 point loss on Friday. They were down by as much as 27 in their loss to the Celtics on on Sunday. They did fight back and make a game out of that. So give them credit, but they are now 0-7 against Boston, Cleveland, and OKC. And there's a few blowouts in there. I think, guys, that this is it's more of something that we've already seen from them this year. If I can kind of just set the floor, I do think that this team is very clearly not Boston, Cleveland, and OKC. But I think that they're right below that. But guys, I'm going to ask you something, nothing, or everything.
I'm going to say it's everything.
Ooh,
and what I mean by that is this team was built to beat a Boston. This team was built with the purpose of coming out of the East. And right now, when you look at the way that they've performed across OKC, Cleveland, and Boston, they are combined negative 19 in the plus minus column. They don't rebound well against these teams. They don't shoot well against these teams from outside the arc. They struggle overall. And what's satisfactory? Coming up right below these teams? No, you want to beat these teams. Yeah. And in the regular season, if you're not able to pull that off, like, what's to say you're going to do that in a 7-game series?
I mean, probably don't have much of a shot.
You don't have, like, I came into this season with pretty high expectations for the Knicks, given what they had done. They went all in as you possibly can. And you add Karl Anthony Towns, the offense, the firepower of that offense should be great. I mean, it has been all season, but it's just easy to look at how the great teams can pick this team apart. Cat and Brunson in pick and roll consistently on the defensive end just gets torched. And that is, I mean, maybe Mitchell Robinson comes in and helps that a little bit, but I don't think there's a solution that can make them compete with these three. And then on the offensive end, like, teams are starting to figure out how to guard and game plan for Brunson and Cat. So I agree. I think it's everything. It is year one of this new look team. Sure. Like, they're trying to figure out the identity of it. Maybe this is just a feel out period. Next year is the year they go and they look like the contenders they could be. But right now for this season, I agree. It is everything.
Yeah, and they're just about to get back to full health. Let's point that out. Mitchell Robinson, it does seem like he's going to be back soon. And I think, Zena especially, big on bigs. We've talked about this quite a bit, having the optionality of going with two bigs, I think is going to be important for them. So on the nights where their offense isn't setting the world on fire, maybe they've got a little bit more defense that they can lean back on. Zena, you've seen this up close, but the Warriors, they've been pretty good since they got Jimmy Butler. They blew out the Kings the other night. They had an easy win against the Mavs on Sunday. I mean, is this is this something all Jimmy Butler, or is there more to this?
It's everything, baby. It's everything. Okay. Yeah. I will tell you this right now. The Warriors look like they are aging backwards. Their pace is up. They're not turning the ball over. They're making their read and react offense. It's read and reacting. Okay. It's doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're seeing Brandon Pajemski, Moses Moody playing with the feel of the game. I mean, whether they have a shot, they're pump faking and going, pump faking and dishing. Everyone's attacking the basket. It is fun basketball. I literally was in the arena today as they took down the Mavs. It felt like we were back in Oakland, Oracle, everyone in the crowd, Warriors, like the chants were going because the product out on the court was reminiscent of those days of the Warriors running and gunning, those death type of lineups coming out and being dominant. And then on top of all of that, Steph Curry gets 30 points.
I mean, that helps.
Jimmy Butler is such a key opener for this offense. And it's not even just from what he's doing and making them number one in free throws in the NBA, which is insane in the last 15 games. It's also the fact that everyone is mimicking and fitting in with his type of game, which is a run and go and attack type of offense, and also tough defense. It's everything. This is a game changer for the Warriors.
The defense is the part that I love for this team right now. Dave, you shouted them out early in the season. You're like, this is going to be one of the best defenses of the league. They were for like a month and a half. They were a top 5 defense. They fell off a cliff. But now you add Jimmy into this equation, the off-ball awareness, the connectiveness that he has on that end. getting into passing lanes, the steals that he can pull off. Like, it just completes everything for that team defensively. They're so good when they're like that.
Jimmy Butler's addition really slotted guys back into the roles that they should have been in. And I will tell you, one of the things, the little wrinkles that they broke out against the Mavs on Sunday, using Gary Payton to face guard Kyrie Irving. Like, we've seen that, but I really like the way they used Brandon Podziemski to face guard. So essentially, they now have two guys that can hound you. That's 48 minutes being able to shut
and
down.
And that live to hound you.
And I just think that, having Jimmy Butler and, sort of like him and Draymond with their basketball IQ as helpers allows you to have, one person out on an island against a guy like Kyrie.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they took Kyrie out of the game and was the key to the easy victory for him. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's everything, Zena, but we're going to see. Also, hey, look, the Thunder beat the Timberwolves on Sunday, joining the Celtics, the Thunder, and the Cavs, now all three in the 40-20 club. Let me get this straight. That's 40 wins before you get to 20 losses. Is that correct?
Yeah. So with the Grizzlies losing to the Cavs last night, there are only 3 teams that will get to 40 wins before getting to 20 losses. The reason that's important.
Why is that significant? Yeah.
So Phil Jackson had this thing where it's like, if you want to be an NBA champion, you have to get to 40 wins before you get to 20 losses. And if you go back and look at history, 76% of all NBA finalists did that. And then 90% of all NBA champions did that as well. So the 40-20 club is pretty impressive. If you go back and look at history of teams that did it, there's a chance that OKC and Cleveland do the 50 before 20, which is another level to this whole thing. But it's a testament to how dominant all 3 of these teams have been. And to be honest with you, they're like a cut above everybody else. It's very clear now that there's a gap being created with those 3.
I mean, after years of essentially being told the regular season doesn't matter, I think, Zena, like, this is a pretty clear indication it does. I think this is actually everything. I think that these 3 teams, and especially OKC and Cleveland, just running away with the 1 seeds in each conference. I think that's everything.
Now, I'm going to play a little fun game here. I think it depends on the conference. I think it depends. If you are in the Western Conference, I think this is everything. I think this is a really, really big deal. If you're in the Eastern Conference, I'm going to say it's something. Okay. I'm going to say it's something. And I'm looking at the 2 conferences. I'm looking at the Pacers have 32 wins and they're 4th.
Right.
If you look at the West, folks with 31 wins are sitting in the 6th and the 7th spots. Yeah. Okay. There's a difference between 2 conferences. So I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to give OKC the respect that they deserve. But Boston, Cleveland, you got to impress me a little bit more.
All right, guys, stick around after the break. We're going to talk about a couple of teams that are just, I don't know, down in the dumps. It feels a little bit, I don't know, maybe not far enough. A couple of contenders in the Philadelphia 76ers and the Phoenix Suns did not expect to be where they are at this point in the season. Obviously, the Sixers have just had a literally snake-bitten season. It's maybe the only injury that they haven't suffered on the roster this year.
Honestly.
Is a snake bite. Yeah. And they've just been unhealthy and bad. And then the Phoenix Suns, an embarrassing loss to the Toronto Raptors on Sunday, which is why they're in this segment. Let's just be straight up. They are 3 games under 500. They don't look like a play-in team, much less a playoff team. And
lifeless.
Guys, I just look at this and I think, how did we get to this point? With the Sixers, it makes so much sense. The injuries have just eaten them up from the inside. The one bright spot they had, Jared McCain. I feel like we do this about once a month now with the Sixers. We point out all these bad things, all these good things. And now we've got new news that there's a debate about what to do with Joel Embiid's knee, whether he needs to have surgery, whether it's better for him to keep playing, which, I mean, again, all of this just, it's a season that is essentially lost when this is the conversation point. What do you guys make of these 2 teams? I mean, I almost want to ask, like, who's had it worse?
Okay, wait. Do you guys watch Beast Games?
No.
Unfortunately
not. No.
This is a perfect example of comparing these two teams in the way that we perceive them. Yeah. So in the penultimate show of Beast Games, which is a show basically that is psychological warfare in the way that people are competing against each other, there was a competition in which 10 people had to go in order. There's $1 million. The first person can choose as much money as they want from the $1 million pile, hoping that the next person gets, leaves a little bit for the next person. So it goes from 1 person, 2, 3, 4. So the first person goes and they take $100,000 because there's 10 people. You would imagine that they'll keep it
rightfully
and
so.
make it even, rightfully so.
Yeah.
So she takes $100,000. The next person goes and takes $223,000. Obviously not the game plan, right? It was their birthday. So they choose $223,000. That's so messed up. The rest of the people are going to get a lot less money for that. The third person goes and takes $650,000 from this $1 million pile. Okay. Leaving $27,000 to be split up for number 4 through 10. Everyone comes out of this competition. Obviously, the rest of the people are annoyed that they got no money. And everyone's focused on the guy that took $650,000, completely leaving alone the guy that took $223,000.
Wow.
Who was all equally terrible because he took money that people deserved. And everyone's mad. They're pointing at him. They're yelling at him. That is how I feel. That people are looking at the Sixers. They're like Joel Embiid's knee and Paul George's trade. And that's so messed up. They're not playing well together. Meanwhile, the completely healthy Phoenix Suns are having a terrible season and no one's talking about it.
Embarrassingly.
It's embarrassing.
Like they just allowed the 25th offense in the NBA in the Toronto Raptors to have a 19-4 run in the fourth quarter against them.
Yep.
This is what I'm talking. They're the 223,000. They're just flying under the radar of being equally horrible.
This is a great comparison.
This is so good.
I'm just happy that I could bring this up because
shout out to the people who are watching Beast Games. They're probably clapping in their rooms right now. Like, yes, I understand. Oh,
what
my
I don't
goodness.
get is, here's the thing, guys. It's not, the Suns are not even dramatic. That's the thing. Like the trade deadline drama that came out of there. I mean, I don't think you could have answered the questions about potentially being traded any better than what Kevin Durant did. Like, I mean, that was extremely diplomatic, but yet seemed pretty honest. And so it is kind of odd that we have been, treating the Sixers like their arena's on fire every single night when literally they're fighting through, injury after injury after injury.
Correct.
And I would say also the other guy who's getting away with the $600,000 or not the $600,000 heist, excuse me, the $223,000 heist. One Paul George, who has managed to have a much worse season than Tobias Harris, the guy he was supposed to be a huge upgrade over.
Yep.
And so, to your
point.
point, a lot of folks are kind of hiding in that Embiid shadow a little bit. Whereas Joel Embiid, out of everyone maybe catching criticism, maybe deserves it the least.
Can we rewind back to like a year ago for the Sixers and whenever the Suns acquired Kevin Durant 2 years ago, right? Can you imagine the excitement of Suns fans when they're like, we now have Kevin Durant next to Devin Booker. This is all we've been waiting for. Suns fans toiling in mediocrity, all that type of stuff. We finally are back. We just went to the NBA Finals. We can battle and become a new title contender. It blows up in their faces. We're this close. Exactly. Sixers fans. Okay, we have all this money, all this cap space, $60 million. We're going to spend it on re-signing Tyrese Maxey. We're going to get Paul George. We're going to add all these veterans. We're going to have an incredible season. And it just falls flat on its face. The level of excitement to drop off, I think, is what is causing this like downturn where you just see this terrible situation where there's a Mr. Beast and the $600,000 and it doesn't even look bad because there's still the Phoenix Suns who look lifeless, who genuinely just don't work. And it's been 2 years of them trying, adding a different coach, working through the machinations of how plug in this player. Let's bring Bradley Beal back. Let's start this guy. Okay, Yusuf Nurkic doesn't want to play anymore. Let's bring in Nick Richards. None of it has worked. None of it has worked.
Yeah. Nurkic looks pretty good in Charlotte. after not talking to the coach.
And he
for
also
a couple
looks very
months.
happy. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. So I guess, guys,
who's worse? I don't know.
Who's
Phoenix.
Phoenix is worse.
223,000 flying under the radar, not saying anything as everyone is just screaming and angry. Yeah, it's Phoenix.
Because look, Philly can at least say injuries ruined us. This season was ruined and decimated by injuries. To your point, Zena, like the Suns have been pretty healthy and just
Joel has played
games.
in 19 games this season.
Yeah.
19. A 56? Like, that's not, you can't even assess that properly.
Hopefully we'll get some more news on the status of Joel Embiid and his knee. But I mean, he's playing in the games, I guess, until they decide to shut it down. But at this point, I mean, you're not even playing for the play-in.
They're playing for their pick. At this point, the Sixers are trying to get their pick back. Yeah.
We got to get to our picks, guys. Our BetMGM picks of the week. And there's only one game of the week. It's Luka Doncic against the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs visit the Lakers in LA on Tuesday. And number one,
God, I wish it was home. I wish it was in Dallas.
Know. Yeah. Well, that one's in April, which is also going to be, I think, kind of explosive. But it'll be the first time that Luka faces his old team. Obviously, you know, since the trade just happened a few weeks ago. What do you guys expect to see out of Luka when he, you know, is seeing, what is it, silver and blue, white and blue? I don't even know. The colors change.
They also have green. The Mavericks,
they've got some green in there.
They've got some green in there too. Mavs also very confusing color situation. I'm expecting, honestly, a lot of love from both sides because it's not in Dallas. I'm expecting AD to come home and him being on the sideline and also getting that standing ovation and all that type of stuff. Tribute video, very well deserved. I think from the other side, you'll probably see Luka and Kyrie embrace. I bet you his teammates are very excited to see him again. I don't think we'll see any sort of animosity other than if we do see a GM pop up. If Nico Harrison is...
I don't think Nico's going to make the trip.
I don't think he'd come. That's the only time where there might be a little bit of craziness. But otherwise, I actually think it'll be a pretty lovely evening. I think Luka will be mad. He'll have answers, but yeah.
I'm anticipating Luka smirks. I'm anticipating him running that offense, like JJ Redick mentioned, and making sure that he makes some plays that make the Mavs go, damn, we miss you, homie.
I mean, I bet they already are. There's no way.
I mean, of course. But I just can't wait to see him do some crazy no-look pass or whatever it is, jog back with just a smirk on his face. Like, yep.
Yeah.
I will say, if you guys want to have a great time, go rewatch the Mavs Warriors game from Sunday and just pay attention to how the camera always seems to find Jason Kidd's face after Jimmy Butler makes a good play, after Steph does something awesome, or after one of the Mavericks doesn't do something great.
That man has been through a lot.
It was theater.
Hey, can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
You guys remember how Jimmy Butler wanted to go to the Suns?
Oh my God! I was thinking
it's not always the thing
Miami
you want.
saved him.
It's not always the thing you want, Jimmy. I'm just saying it worked out better this way.
It really definitely did. What if KD had gone to the Bay? I don't know. Another what if for another time. All right, that's going to do it for the Jays Show, folks. Thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate you guys. Don't forget, join the Discord. We've got the link in the show description. So, come on over. We're talking hoops in the Discord. It's been pretty fun. For Zena Keita and Baraheni, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.